Okay. Are we get back to the cat phase again? This is it then, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, it's time to put an end to this now. To the miserable curse that has been plaguing Mr. Natsume. To everything. And in my own small way, I shall do everything I can to help you. I always appreciate your help, Mrs. Zato. Suffering, Sasuke, selfishly, sidelined! Well, you were in cat phase. Good morning to you too, Mr. Natsume. Good morning! Good morning, local student Mrs. Naho, Esquire! Listen to you two, chat away happily, as if the main player of today's trial isn't here! Why would you do that? Why? Oh dear, we didn't mean to cause offense, Mr. Natsume. I thought perhaps that because you had your eyes shut so tightly, you were meditating, finding inner calm. It seemed wrong to disturb you. I was waiting! What's the matter, Mr. Natsume? You seem different somehow today. Why, naturally, that's because I've attained spiritual enlightenment. The path of literature, you see, is a journey to discover one's own death. Or such like. Oh, that's the sort of morning conversation I was hoping for. That's why I had my eyes shut. I missed the signs, I'm afraid, somehow. You'll have to forgive me. And you mustn't talk of your path leading to your death, Mr. Natsume. That was just an example! Oh yes, there it is. Inner calm. You bravely came to see me at all yesterday. Or you barely came to see me at all yesterday. I was sure you'd abandon me and return to our beautiful long-lost homeland. We've not even been in Great Britain a week yet. Oh god, that's right. Yes, well, anyway. I intend to set everything straight in court today. I'm determined to uncover the truth. I've actually reached an important decision myself. Oh? What sort of decision? I shall fill you in after the trial. Alright. It would seem Mr. Sholmes isn't coming today after all. It's a very clever message, I think. My dear fellows, you must win this battle on your own merits. It's a very clear message, I think, that he's overslept again. The great detective, my arch nemesis. Long may he stay away, if you ask me. Defendant and your legal representative. The trial's about to begin. Make your way to the courtroom immediately. Please help us find it. We are still lacking in eyes. Today, once again, we face the Reaper. And when the Reaper stands for the prosecution, the defendant's fate is sealed. But I don't believe in that legend any more than I believe in Sosuke-san's curse. The truth is hidden here somewhere, and I won't let it escape me. I have to keep believing in my client and keep fighting to the very end. That's all. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I call upon the counsel for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. Yes, the defense is ready. Very good. And now I call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury, chosen by lot to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to proceed? Absolutely. Justice will be done. You mark my words. I feel obliged to say I feel especially ruthless on days when my hat is sitting just right. Oh, well, I wonder if you could adjust my hat for me. And please, be as ruthless as you like. You do you, man. Thieves deserve to die, if you ask me. Especially gas thieves. I've no sympathy for the man at all. Look, I said it yesterday and I'll say it again now. Don't have time for this. I've got my own problems. Oh, may the Lord show us all the light here and lead his flock to a righteous verdict again today. Now, Lord Van Zeeks, what can you tell us? The prosecution's report, please, for the court. In relation to the theory expounded by the defense yesterday regarding the defendant's tea. So he does have the results. Dude, it's the morning. Can we not do some wine? Before the prosecution delivers the black news about the black tea belonging to the blackguard in the dock, pray allow me a moment to savor a liquid of a more sanguine hue. In fact, I'll defer to the good detective for the report. Here's to you, Inspector. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. As indicated by the defense, we found a bar of soap just outside the victim's window in the snow. And there was indeed a frozen reddish liquid in a little depression on the top of it. Yes, that's the tea. That's what Natsume brought with him that night. Well, the brains at the yard analyzed it, and yes, you're right, it was tea. And there wasn't a trace of strychnine or any other toxic substance in it. No poison at all. In other words, the tea that the defendant brought with into the victim's room is innocent. It is in the clear. Hey, that's good news. What a revelation! As I suspected. This makes it quite clear. The defendant, Mr. Sosuke Natsume, is blameless.
Objection.
My learned friend is jumping to conclusions again. A typical Nipponese reaction. A typical human reaction. That's such a reasonable even logic. We proved that the tea doesn't have any poison in it. What? Yes, it's true. No poison was found in the few drops of liquid recovered from the soap on the window ledge. But what logic is that? Sound? Would you take a drop from the Thames and conclude that the water in the ocean isn't salty? Those are two different bodies of water. My word, the water in the ocean is extremely salty, Counsel. Exactly. Unfit for drinking, just as the victim's tea was on the night in question, as the court has already heard. Bitter was the precise word from the lips of Mr. William Shamsphere, whom the prosecution now calls back to the stand. Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's request. Mr. Shamsphere. Yes, it sounds like we're going to have another confrontation with our theatrical friend. It also looks like I'm going to have to do that stupid voice I gave him again. Bailiff, show Mr. Shamsphere to the stand. I hope you guys enjoy it. Mr. William Shamsphere, the victim of this despicable crime. Oh heaven, oh hell, do you command me to remember? Forsooth, 'twas I, Shamsphere, did have a bellyful of the foul fluid given in mine innocence. Yes, but as was revealed in yesterday's proceedings, the witness is not as innocent as we had perhaps first had been led to believe. By using bars of soap such as this, he has been stealing gas from the supply company, yes. One may smile and be a villain. Forsooth, 'twas I, Shamsphere, did have a room full of the sweet fuel given. That's right, villagers, don't forget, this man is a rotten thief. I haven't forgotten, kept all that about the ice cold as a tidy secret, did you? You should have owned up sooner. Arrest him, I say! Arrest him at once, and let him feel the sting in my tail. Oh, indeed. By dint of vile and cowardly means have I plotted to further mine own ends, I confess. Thou wouldst not pardon my sins, of that I am sure. If you acknowledge your wrongdoing, What exactly are you doing here? Cowards die many times before their deaths. And for a coward such as I, death be well deserved. But wouldn't that still a greater crime passeth unpunished? For lo, the hairy-faced gentleman of far east than Verona did contrive to poison me.
Objection!
But there was no poison in the tea found in your room. The police have attested to that. What the defense would assert is an inconsistency will quickly be cleared up by the witness's testimony. Is that not so, Mr. Shamsphere? Verily, my liege, I would most gladly speak. As long as you stop jumping, please. Very well, let the witness testify to explain this inconsistency. Tell the court why it is the poison apparently entered your body, though none was found in the tea. Here we go again. The Japanese man did come to my chamber with tea, brewed in a pot. 'Twas in my cup alone that the wicked miscreant secretly poured his wicked poison. Whilst feigning distraction in our debate, ne'er did a drop of his own drink pass his lips. When he departed by and by, I did use the tea that remained in his cup to make my coins of ice. Thus, 'tis no surprise that poison being not found in the tea I did pour into the molds of soap. Okay, so he's saying he's used Mr. Natsume's tea to make the soap coins, but not necessarily his, which could have been poisoned. The poison was slipped into the cup after the tea had been poured. The normal way for poison to be administered, in my experience. Which is quite. Otherwise, it would be disastrous if the poisoner were to mix up the cups, for instance. But no poison bottle was found at the scene. Because, quite simply, the Nipponese took the bottle back to his own room. The absence of a vessel containing the poison only becomes problematic when considering suicide. Ugh, I knew that. By now, it should be perfectly clear. A bar or two of cheap soap is wholly insufficient to wash the deep stains of guilt from the accursed's hands. Ah! Sirs, madams, 'tis true that I, Shamsur, be a common thief of gas. But, listen here, ladies and gentlemen. My voice is breaking, man. Much like his cane. How is he doing that? I don't want to know. Wherefore would I lie? Verily, I have no cause. I have naught to lose. Well, I do declare. God bless. Thank you for your testimony, witness. Counsel, proceed with the cross-examination. Yes, my lord. Okay, I think we're just going to go with our normal approach. We're just going to press each statement, see if we can't get some more information first.
Hold it!
I understand that you were already acquainted with Mr. Natsume. Is that correct? I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers. Do I know thee, or know thee not? Methinks 'tis all I can know, that thy destiny mingles with mine. I'm not sure if he answered my question. You lost me at the first thee. Zounds, sir, thou must learn the English tongue afore thou turns thy hand to lawyering. I did, but I must have missed the archaic Elizabethan lecture. Verily, and in truth, 'twas a fine-flavored brew, though a drop of poison did barb its sweetness, as the thorn doth barb the sweet rose. That, dear friends, be the simple truth. Listen, Mr. Shamsphere, he seems in even better form than he was yesterday. Either that, or I'm in worse form. That fated evening, after I did dine, at Grubb's Grubbery, a local alehouse of good report, naught did pass my lips but the tainted black tea. But behold, The poison was not in the tea at first. Okay, let's do this one. Are you saying that you saw the moment when the poison was added to your tea? To have witnessed the act and then drank the tea? Thou dost describe the actions of a fool. Quite so, quite so. But no one likes going thirsty, do they? Sooner would I die quenched than parched. Would I have the choice? Actually, on the night in question, the water main was frozen, I believe, wasn't it? Were it not for the tea, in sooth, I would sooner have died frozen than quenched or parched. Right, no ice coins means no heating. The witness had more than one brush with death on the night in question, it would seem. Remind the court, Mr. Chancellor, as to whether the accused drank any of the tea which he brought with him. With the greatest of pleasure, my liege.
Hold it!
But the teacup Mr. Natsume drank from was found completely empty at the scene. And let's not forget the defense maxim, drink the tea while it's hot. I did gulp from the poisoned cup that night, and in mine agony did I writhe uncontrolled. It fits in pain I did knock the fellow's cup, and its contents spilt as blood from a gaping wound, methinks. Though certainly 'twas after I had made the coins of ice from his tea. An upset cup was found on the table that the victim was slumped over. There is no contradiction here. It's true, there was no tea left in either cup that we found at the scene. But still, something about this statement is troubling me. Yes, of course, I know what it is. It's Mr. Natsume's wise drink the tea while it's hot maxim, isn't it? No, I'm not sure that's it. Thank you, witness. Now reiterate for the court what it was that occupied you after your guests had left and before you drank your tea. There's something wrong with the third statement, but let's go ahead and press the others, just to be certain here.
Hold it!
Yes, so that you could cheat the gas company, in fact. Isn't that right? To cheat, or to die. 'Tis life's only choice. Yes. Faith, to cheat be the wise choice, and mine occupation be not an ugly one. Prithee, dost thou not see the beauty in the simplicity of the ruse? No, I don't. And be very sure, sir, once this trial is over, Ultima Gas will take you to task over this legal task. I shall not run. I shall not hide. Sooth to say, I have nowhere to run, nor to hide. But my lady, what wouldst thou with this pitiful player? Oh, I'll tell you what I'd like to do with you, starting with the shoddy shirt on your back. 'Tis the time for Shakespeare dance! What a harsh world we live in. The thieving of the gas was addressed in yesterday's proceedings. The prosecution calls on the defense not to muddy the waters with irrelevancy. Consider that a warning, counsel. Yes, my lord. Why am I the one in trouble here? Mr. Shamsphere, after the accused returned to his own lodgings, you used his tea to make your coins. Is that correct? To cheat or to die? I did make my choice many moons ago. Okay, let's just press the last statement and then we'll go from there. If having first made your special coins, it was after 2 in the morning when you collapsed. That would mean you can't have drunk any tea yourself until around that time. Once ensnared by a literary debate, naught else be found in the furrows of the mind. The debate about Romeo and Juliet, you mean? And who was the stronger of the two? Rightly did I pay no heed to the tea as I wrestled with the abominable fellow. I don't remember debates like that when I was studying. Are you suggesting that neither of you actually drank the tea whilst it was hot that evening? My lord, wouldst thou be privy to some Shamspherian wisdom? Husband, wife, and tea ought yea tepid be. Ah yes, so very true. Everyone has different preferences when it comes to tea. I think you might have interpreted that wrongly. I'm not sure if she did. I'm not saying she didn't, but... God bless. So it's been proven that there was no poison in Sotsuki-san's tea. That should be hugely in our favor. But the atmosphere in this courtroom today feels as though everybody is against us, Mr. Naruto. It must be the Reaper's poison. I'm afraid that if we don't find a significant flaw in this testimony somewhere, the jury will pronounce and find Mr. Natsume guilty. It really feels like we've jumped into the fire here. So there is not a tea ring inside Mr. Natsume's cup here. I want to say this is the thing that we need to present on the third statement, because this proves that the tea didn't stay there long enough. So he had to have drinking some of it.
Objection!
There we go. You claim that Mr. Natsume didn't drink a drop of tea on the night in question. But that's impossible. How? Chop logic? What is this, you dark cookie-clad friend? The two teacups from the scene, one used by the victim and the other by the defendant, have a clear difference between them. One that represents incontrovertible proof. Incontrovertible? Why is the English so hard? What difference? Look at the inside of the cups. Just here, there's a clearly visible ring. Yes, a tea ring. Commonplace enough. Indeed, such stains occur all too readily when one leaves tea in the cup for a while. And yet, Mr. Natsume's cup has no such ring. Good lord, you're right! It's completely clean! And prithee, sir, what maketh thou of it? Exactly what Mr. Natsume told the court yesterday. The Japanese saying he quoted, "Drink tea while it's hot." That's right, yes. The jittery Mr. Natsume was true to his usual self that night and drank his tea in no time. If, as you claim in your testimony, he didn't touch a drop of his tea, a ring would have developed on the inside of his cup as well after the several hours the tea was left standing. But, in short, Mr. Shansphere, you clearly lied to the court. Get thee to a nunnery!
Objection!
As a rule, I fill my hollow chalice up to 7 times during any one trial. Dude, that's too much wine! No wonder you're crazy! You're drinking 7 glasses of wine every trial? You might want to keep that information to yourself. Yet, on occasion, tedium distracts me, and I pour more times than I intended until the bottle is dry. Your drinking habits are fascinating, but irrelevant. On the contrary, they illustrate the fickleness of human memory. To William Shansphere. Yes, my liege? Though you previously stated that you made the coins of ice from the leftover tea in the accused's cup. Could it be that you were perhaps mistaken? Eh? Could it be that, yes, perhaps there was some tea remaining in the small teapot left at the scene? Okay, dude, you are actually just making conjecture at this point. A fact that had vanished from your memory until now? Faith, my liege, thou art a magician. For verily, 'tis as though thou hast seen with thine own eyes that night. What? Forsooth, I was mistook. I did plan to use tea from the Japanese fellow's cup, but lo, when I looked, 'twas empty. And thus did I use the dregs that fester in the teapot, as my liege did suggest.
Objection!
And you've just suddenly remembered now that you made a mistake before. Are we supposed to believe that?
Objection!
People's memories are imperfect, my learned friend, which is why we rely on evidence instead. But in any case, it makes no difference. The victim's most recent testimony tells us two things of note. Firstly, that the poison was put into the victim's teacup only. And secondly, that this spoilt cup was not the source of the insipid ice coins that have bewitched this court. The prosecution makes a fine summary of the facts. Furthermore, that testimony remains valid and in full support of the established facts. In other words, the inconsistency claimed by the defense simply does not exist. No! What does this mean then? I do declare it means there's no issue with the gas thief's testimony. Apart from the bit about thieving gas, obviously. My lords, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I do solemnly swear. After I did dine at Grubb's Grubbery Ale House that night, naught did pass my lips but the black tea given to me by the Japanese, whose back be stooped as low as death. And on what did you dine, sir? Why, I did partake of my favorites. A broth as would be called soup, and a leaf as would be called salad. As insalubrious a menu as the establishment where it was served. But you gods will give us some faults to make us men. Willingly would I suffer what punishment 'tis seen fit to serve a wicked thief of gas. But I pray ye wise and noble fellows, ne'er forget the simple truth. That be one thing, and this be another. Jurors all, your humble servant Shamsphere doth entreat you, punish the Japanese fellow for his sins. My lord! If I may speak, my lord. Yes, Mr. Foreman? I believe we may have been duped by that rotten defense lawyer. What? By me? I do declare you may be right. We all know the waif there was making coins of ice to keep himself warm. But this lawyer lad says if he's stealing gas, he deserves a dose of poison, eh? He's been leading us up the garden path, that's what he's been doing. I did not say that. I really never said anything like, God bless. But what we just heard from the victim there has opened our eyes again. We've reached a decision this time, and we won't be swayed from it. The court acknowledges the position of the jury foreman, and will duly hear the jury's findings. What? No! You can't yet! Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your decisions now.
Guilty!
Guilty.
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 Guilty!
I hereby declare the jury to be in one accord. Oh, happy day! How is this happening? My lord, the defense asserts its right to carry out a summation examination. Very well, the court upholds the defense's right. Typical. My learned friend is unable to accept the obvious truth. This trial will therefore enter its second summation examination immediately. Jurors, the court calls upon each of you to state the grounds upon which you find the defendant guilty of the crime of which he is charged. Back to it. The jurors' contentions. I'm a man of logic, me, and having considered all the evidence, the defendant must logically be guilty. I do agree that gas is far too expensive. I can quite understand why the man would want to avoid paying. The stuff explodes and it can poison you. It's absolutely lethal, gas is. Gas doesn't come for free. It costs a fortune to deliver it around the city and maintain the pipes. Truth be told, the tea my wife serves up for me is a little sketchy at times. If nothing else passed the victim's lips that night, there's no other explanation, is there? Alright, I'm already seeing some room for fighting, but we'll get to that in a second. I do feel that perhaps personal opinion about gas and its supplies influence decisions somewhat. But, never mind. No, you really should mind. The truth is, our counter-argument wasn't as unassailable as we had hoped. And Mr. Shansphere was poisoned. There can be no doubt of that. Then how are we supposed to turn this around? I think we need to establish the method by which Mr. Shansphere was actually poisoned. Our only hope is to demonstrate that to the court incontrovertibly. But that's surely almost impossible at this stage. If we don't manage it though, Mr. Natsume will be found guilty. No delays, counsel. Proceed with the summation examination. Well, if he's just in the background. Okay, let's just press jurors number 2 and 4 and see what can happen. Because I want to say that we can pit these two against each other.
Hold it!
This isn't the time or the place to be discussing the price of gas, madam. But really, think of the injustice. Air is gas, and air is free. Why should Ultima gas cost money? It makes my blood boil. I can feel myself becoming more ruthless than ever. This isn't the time or place to be ruthless either. If I might interject here. Ah, yes, madam. It seems my fellow juror takes issue with the price our company charges for gas. But it's precisely because of thieves like this man that the cost goes up. Oh, what a beastly man. That unkempt mustache, those hunched shoulders, poisoning tea and stealing We're not talking about Natsume here! Utterly unforgivable. No, Mr. Natsume isn't the one who's been stealing gas. I'll thank you not to go adding on more crimes. Mr. Natsume hasn't been poisoning tea either. Well, anyway, I've quite made up my mind. It's made up as a price of gas. Okay, I want to talk to her.
Hold it!
Can we please refrain from all this talk of gas? There's an all-out attack underway here, in case you haven't noticed, against my company's gas. And I'm supposed to sit here and take it, am I? I don't think so. She's really buzzing now. Get it? Because she's the queen bee? All I've heard about our wonderful fuel is explosions and poisonings. What about electricity, What about getting electrocuted? What about that? A little explosion here and there is nothing in comparison. Any explosion could hardly be described as nothing, madam. Nevertheless, the theft of your gas is deplorable. My point exactly, but the gas thieves aren't even the worst of our enemies. We have far more devious reprobates to contend with on a daily basis, you know. More devious? Who, madam? Other gas companies, of course. Other gas companies? Not quite what I was expecting. We generate gas and deliver to our customers, fair and square. Indeed, nobody is questioning that, madam. Ultima is an exemplary gas company. But there are other unscrupulous gas companies here in London that don't even have any gas at all. What? But if they don't have any gas, how do they go about selling it to people? You wouldn't think it possible, would you? But they steal our gas, you see, and sell that. They steal your gas? How on earth is such a thing possible? Gas companies like ours deliver gas to people's homes via a network of pipes. But these devious reprobates, secretly disconnect our pipes and divert our gas into their own rotten pipes. Then they make a contract with the household supplied by those pipes and take money for the precious gas that's rightfully ours without us even knowing. They're diverting gas into their own pipes illegally. What a brazen form of theft. When we visit customers' houses to collect the money from their meters, we always have to check whether or not one of these devious companies has been up to its tricks. Hold on.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, juror number 3? Oh, golly, you mean me? I'm terribly sorry. I was just thinking to myself. I really did catch him off guard there. Thinking about what the lady next to you is saying, correct? Well, yes. I just got a little riled about it recently, you see. Go on. An Altamont gas worker visited my house the other day to investigate the pipe work. We need to ask for your cooperation while we carry out a secret check of your property, sir, the fellow said. So I let him in, and do you know what he did? I'm, afraid I have no idea. Please tell us. He proceeded to take one of my lights off the wall. Then he grabbed the exposed mouth of the pipe and started blowing into it. What did you think you're doing, young man? You're giving away company secrets there. Oh, please, everybody knows. But it's very near the death of me, I can tell you. What do you mean? I'll explain if you don't mind. As I said before, these unscrupulous other gas companies connect their customers to our pipe network. Yes, but how does blowing the pipes come into it? Obviously, there's gas in the pipes, and it's at a fairly low pressure. By blowing air through the pipe, you can make the pressure drop temporarily. And if you do that, any lights connected to the same pipe will flicker for a moment. Ah, I see. In other words, if upon blowing into the pipe, the lights of an adjacent property that has no contract with their company flicker, you can know that these devious scoundrels have been meddling with the pipes. Exactly, my lord. That's it in a nutshell. It's the reason why we have teams of workers going around neighborhoods to investigate which lights flicker. The trouble is, the particular worker who came to my house didn't know the strength of his own breath. He blew down the pipe with all his might, and you can guess what happened, can't you? Well, if he blew hard, then... Wait, you mean... That's right. The lights didn't just flicker, they went out, along with the stove. Gas started pouring into the house. What a disaster. The gas supply must have been interrupted briefly because the man blew too hard, so the flames went out. I'm afraid I yelled at the fellow. Are you trying to kill us all? I said. So by disconnecting a lamp and blowing into the exposed gas pipe, it's possible to extinguish lamps and stoves connected to the same network of pipes. And then when the gas starts flowing again, it just silently seeps into the room. Mr. Naruto, I think perhaps... Yes, this is almost certainly the clue that we've been hoping for. Juror number 3, the defense requests that you amend your statement to include that information. Oh, well, if you like, I don't mind. Well, I do! That's our company's secret method of identifying the rogues that try to diddle us. Like I said, madam, it's widely known already. Very well. Juror number 3, you will amend your statement accordingly. Not what I thought was going to happen, but okay. Okay, blow too hard on a gas pipe, you extinguish everything in the house. Then you're in real trouble. Possibly these two? I'm not sure.
Objection!
There we go. That actually worked. Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious! To whose statement do you refer, counsel? Juror number 6. Did you hear what juror number 3 just said? Eh? What? Yes, of course. I heard him mumbling about something or other. There is another explanation here, I believe. Something besides Mr. Natsume's tea did, in a manner of speaking, pass the victim's lips on the night in question. What? What explanation? I wonder, did the police check the mouth of the gas pipe feeding the wall light at the scene? To see if there were any traces of poison there. I was curious to see what your floundering would result in this time, but the mouth of a gas pipe? Hey, you're not allowed to talk right now. Scotland Yard have enough to do without exploring such irrelevance. What a piece of work is a man! What are you trying to say, Mr. Shansphere? What speakest thou? Prithee, is it not strange and strange? That is what I say to thee, sir. I thought I'd been quite clear, but let me put it another way. The stretching could have been on the mouth of the gas pipe that feeds the wall lamp in your room. And that is how the poison came to enter your body. Good lord! Are they tasty then, gas pipes? Is that what he's saying? Or is the gentleman suggesting that the poor man was so desperately hungry that he tried to fill his belly with gas? Perhaps no actress would perform a kiss scene with him, For shame, madam, speaking thy fancy. I assure you, I'm not such a buffoon to have a kiss with pipe. To kiss pipes.
Objection!
You're not allowed to object right now. This is no summation examination. This is a farce. The prosecution will not stand for any more of my Lord Nipponese friend's conjecture. Okay, you're not allowed to object to this. Like, the whole point of this is that we're supposed to have just free reign to talk, and then after the summation examination is over, do we work with this? Whatever. To begin with, the lamp in the victim's room is high on the wall. In order to have placed his lips to the pipe that feeds it, he would have to be a contortionist. These are empty assertions. There is no possible proof that the man did as you say.
Objection!
Shut up. It's true. I have no proof that Mr. Shansphere put his lips to the pipe. However, I can say with some certainty that on multiple occasions, Mr. Shansphere has been doing something in front of that lamp on his wall. And I have evidence to prove it. All right, you've got our attention, lad. I'd like to see how you can be so sure of yourself. So would I. Let's see this evidence then. Now that I've got the jury's ear, I need to make this opportunity count. This is the proof that, time and time again, Mr. Shansphere stood in front of his gas lamp. It's a picture of the hands. Because, like, there's a gas lamp right there, and there's his hands.
Take that!
What the? These are, wait, what are they called? Yes, skin prints that were found at the scene. Skin prints, counsel? I never heard of such things. The Justice Ministry is currently assessing whether or not to permit fingerprints as evidence in court, however. My lord, this is an exciting new forensic technique developed by the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. It reveals all the places that Mr. Shansphere touched in his room. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, that's black magic, isn't it? Well, if anyone could invent something like this, it's that great Sholmes fellow, that's for sure. I agree. This month's edition of Engineering Thumbs was quite fascinating. We found skin prints in many places that you would expect. On the table, on the costumes. However, Mr. Shansphere also appears to have been touching the same very unexpected places in his room. For example, here, around the hanging picture there, indeed, multiple handprints appear to be visible. Well, I wonder, could he have been appreciating the artwork perhaps? At first, my colleagues and I thought the same. However, imagine standing with your hands where those prints are, and you would find yourself directly in front of... Ah! I don't believe it! The gas lamp! I did not mean to do that. Though the reason why isn't immediately obvious, it's clear that Mr. Shansphere has regularly been standing with his hands to the wall in front of that lamp. Right. What have you been up to, you nut? I'd asked the court to recall juror number 4's earlier statement. Me? What did I say? You said that blowing into a gas pipe would make the lights in the entire building flicker. And now, if you recall juror number 3's statement... What? Me now? When the gas worker who visited his home blew with too much force into the pipe, it caused all the lights and the gas stove to go out, and gas to start leaking into the rooms. Obviously, that incident was an accident. However, the simple fact is, if Mr. Shansfair were to have blown hard into the gas pipe here in his room, he could have extinguished every other light and gas stove in the building at will. Crikey! Are you suggesting that the man purposely caused the gas to...
Objection!
Dude, seriously, bro. You're not supposed to object during this time. Whilst I acknowledge that the prosecution is required to remain silent during its matrix examination, okay, well, at least you acknowledge it. You barely pass. Good for you. I must toast my learned friend's utter disregard for the letter of the law. Says the man who's not supposed to talk right now. What is the meaning of this, Lord Van Zeeks? This curious photograph, or whatever it is, presented by the defense, this so-called skin prints, clearly, that cannot be accepted as any form of usable evidence in this case. But it's an exciting forensic technique, developed by a great detective. It's nothing. A mere toy developed by an amateur sleuth with too much time in his hands. Certainly, even research of this nature by the esteemed Mr. Sholmes cannot be recognized by the court as formal evidence. But... Please, my lord, if I may, Mr. Zato, it was not the defense's intention to submit the skin prints as formal evidence. We merely wish to present the results of the great detective's investigation of the scene, as a tool by which to explain a possibility to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Ooh, that got him good. And if the trial were to come to an end now, we should never learn the truth behind these mysterious handprints that everyone has now seen. I don't believe we can allow that to happen, and I'm sure the jurors would agree. You're right. Whether those strange handprints are a significant clue or not, it's down to us to decide. Juror number 3. Oh yes, I do declare the great detective's investigation results sound absolutely fascinating. And I want to hear what that shitty actor Phil has to say about those shitty handprints. Alright, well that's 2. Can we get more? What's the matter with you two? That was foolhardy. Well, I did say it, didn't I? And I don't like to break a promise. No, wait! You heard his lordship. It's not fair. Shut up. One more? Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. That was all you, Suzato, sweetie. That's all you. If just one more juror changes his or her mind, Mr. Natsume's trial will have to continue. Thank you, Mr. Sato, but I couldn't have done it without you. Oh no, it was you who identified the clue after all. This is very much your success. Oh, you are sweating. Why, Mr. Shamsphere? You seem to be losing your composure. Just one more juror, Mr. Naruhodo. You can do it. Very well. Continue, counsel. Okay, so these 3 I still need to work with. I've already pressed her. So let's press juror number 1 and see...
Hold it!
Let's just see what he's got. All the evidence, you say. That's right. And there's no room for doubt. It's all pointed at the Japanese man with the big mustache. Says the Englishman with the bigger mustache. But the defense just demonstrated another possible explanation for the events on the night in question. What do you make of that? What, your so-called skin prints? It's an exciting new forensic investigation technique developed by the great detective himself. The numerous handprints on the wall are clearly out of the ordinary. And if Mr. Shansford had indeed put his mouth to the gas pipe on the night in question, it can't be denied that there's a possibility that's where the poison was. Well, yes, I won't deny that it's playing on my mind. But as the prosecution rightly says, we should pay no heed to unacceptable forms of evidence. And besides, yes, even if the fellow has been up to some mischief with a gas pipe dozens of times before, it doesn't mean he's got up to the same shenanigans on the night in question, does it? Oh. If you can't make your case better than that, I'm afraid I can't change my stance. You do make a very valid point, sir. What? That's true. Perhaps I was a little hasty. No, wait! Look, you've got your chance here, haven't you? So it's time to prove your theory. If you and your Japanese cohorts can, that is. Okay, racist. Just leave our nationality out of this, please! Mr. Naruhodo, if we can't substantiate our position, I'm afraid the jurors can't change their minds before, but may very well change them back. What can I do? Is there any more proof I can give here? Can I show that Mr. Chancellor really did blow down the gas pipe on the night in question? Well, we could provide some supporting testimony if I can stop hitting the wrong button. No, in truth, I don't have evidence to support my theory. However, there is witness testimony that substantiates it. What's that? Testimony? This is incredible! Whose testimony? Yes, it's all connected. Everything is linked. A person whose testimony revealed details about the gas in the garret residence that night. Namely... Yep, Sosuke Natsume.
Take that!
Obviously, I'm talking about the defendant. This is Sosuke Natsume himself. The defendant? At the very beginning of the proceedings here in court yesterday, Mr. Natsume said the following. My lodgings! There's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings! Even on that fateful night it happened, when I returned from Mr. Shansford's room. I lit my gas stove and climbed into bed, but before long, the stove went out, and somebody tried to kill me! On the night in question, the gas in the defendant's room went out. So I asked the court, was that a mere coincidence or not? Good golly! So that Chancellor fellow blew air into the gas pipe to make the man's stove go out on purpose? Now hold your horses there. What would he do that for? Mr. Foreman? What is it, man? We cannot allow judgment to be passed whilst this doubt remains. It's true that I don't have conclusive evidence yet. However, you must surely agree that there is more to this case than meets the eye. Ah! Fair enough. Like I said at the outset, I'm a man of logic, first and foremost. Boom, baby! Tips in our favor now. That's 4 jurors leaning toward not guilty, my lord. We've overturned the decision. Therefore, the defense calls for the trial to continue. As the defense has rightfully indicated, the summation examination has concluded with the majority of jurors altering their decisions. 2 juror members now call guilty, 4 now call not guilty. Therefore, the jury's opinion is conflicted, and in accordance with the law of this land, I hereby order the continuation of this trial. Mr. William Shansford? My lord? How can thy humble Shansford serve thee? What say you in response to the various revelations made during the summation examination? So God mend me. I do solemnly swear. I recall aught of either the lamp or the pipe. But your handprints have made a tiny mess all over the wall there. How'd you explain that, eh? God, why? I am done with this. The dignity of this great courtroom has been sullied enough already. Juror number 5. Yeah, like, you can tell. He just, without the slightest hesitation, just threw a whole bottle of wine into somebody's leg in the gallery. Just immediately, he is done, my guy. Who, me? As I went to some pains to point out already, a print from the self-professed detective's toy has no place in a British court of law. As such, whether or not this man did indeed stand before the gas lamp with his hands against the wall remains, at this time, unestablished conjecture. You would all do well to remember that.
Objection!
But the prosecution must concede that it would be extremely simple to verify. Just order the mouth of the gas pipe feeding that lamp in Mr. Shakespeare's room to be examined. If there are traces of poison there...
Objection!
What appears to be extremely simple is my Nipponese friend's mind. You will recall that in order to check for the presence of poison in the tea, some remnants of tea were required. Yes? Therefore, it shouldn't be beyond your wit to imagine that even if poison were to have been spread on the pipe, it would have completely evaporated by now, making any analysis impossible. I didn't think of that. In any case, counsel, I fail to see what could possibly have motivated the man to do as you describe. Why on earth would this fellow have wanted to blow air into the gas pipe where he lived? There's only one possibility I can think of. And that is... to use the leaking gas to commit murder! Order! Order! Counsel! Precisely whose life do you propose this man was plotting to end? The answer couldn't be simpler, now that we've unraveled the mystery this far. Mr. Shakespeare wanted to end the life of... Natsume, obviously. I feel like he wants to get in Natsume's room. I think that is relatively apparent. So, I assume it has to be him.
Take that!
If a gas lamp were to go out, it would be noticed immediately, of course. But a gas stove, on the other hand, could be silently extinguished by the killer without anyone noticing. I live around those parts myself, so I know what it's like. I can tell you, trying to sleep without the stove lid is pretty much suicide. You'd freeze to death in no time. Mr. Garadeb, the landlord, has a large fireplace in his part of the residence on the top floor. In other words, it wasn't the landlord, but a fellow lodger whose life Mr. Shakespeare was trying to end. Outrageous! I'm talking, of course, about the defendant. Mr. Natsume isn't the villain in this case. He's the victim this man was trying to murder. Good gracious! Objection?
Objection!
Objection. The accused is actually the aggrieved? Interesting. However, the fundamental facts of the case remain unchanged. Namely, that the accused is the aggressor here. What? How can you still claim that? Let us indulge your fantasies for a moment and assume that there was indeed poison on the mouth of the gas pipe. The question that then arises is who put it there? Who did put it there? The only logical conclusion is that the person responsible was aware of this man's trickery with the gas supply and his intent to kill. Yes, that would indeed seem logical. If the assailant were unaware, how would he or she have known to lace the end of the gas pipe with poison? So now we must ask, how could anyone have known of Mr. Shakespeare's murderous designs? I mean to suggest. Naturally, The sole purpose answer to that question couldn't be more obvious. Possible answer. Only the man whose life was being threatened could possibly have known. What? In other words, the person who put the poison on the gas pipe, it was a clear retaliatory attack. Can only have been the accused, Mr. Sotsuki Natsume. Whatever Mr. William Shansphere may or may not have contrived to do, he was nevertheless the victim of a potentially lethal poison attack. And the only person who could possibly have perpetuated that attack is the accused, Mr. Natsume. The defense counsel's theorizing has failed to avert suspicion from the accused. Far from it. In fact, now that a clear motive for the poison has been successfully established, that suspicion is greater than ever. Would you not agree, my Nipponese friend? Man, he really turned this around. We didn't even get to do anything. Just absolutely reverse carded the whole situation. How did he manage to turn that around on me so rapidly? Mr. Nahodo, you must respond. Otherwise, the members of the jury may very well change their leanings against us again. And this may be our last chance to gain the advantage. What advantage? Well, it would seem that somebody put poison on the gas pipe in Mr. Shansphere's room. So we must name that person now and absolve Mr. Natsume of guilt. You mean, name the true culprit? I know it might sound impossible, but if we fail to do that, I have no doubt that Mr. Natsume's fate will be sealed once and for all. As it happens, one possible culprit does come to mind. The evidence, the poison, it's all pointing to a particular person now. The prosecution calls for the jury to consider their leanings again. I trust you'll make the correct choice this time, Mr. Foreman. What? Oh, don't you worry. We know exactly what... There is one other person who I believe could have been involved in all this. The true culprit of this crime. The true culprit? A term found only in second-rate novels featuring third-rate great detectives, my Nipponese friend. But why not? This farce has gone on for so long already, I see no reason to cut it short before its disappointing climax. Thank you. Tell us, my learned Nipponese friend, what is your latest theory? Who is the so-called true culprit of this crime? So, based on everything that we've kind of considered and everything that we know about the different rooms, I think the only person who could have done it is Olive Green. We know that she had access to poison, and in fairness, considering the timing, she would have had motivation to kill Shansphere. Because, you know, if we go by this line of reasoning, and Shansphere's done this before, then that would mean Shansphere was the one responsible for killing her spouse. Or spouse-to-be, anyway. It has to be Olive Green.
Take that!
The name of the person responsible for the poison that afflicted Mr. Shansphere is, I believe, Miss Olive Green. Miss Olive Green. Miss Olive Green. I do feel as though I've heard that name in the recent past, Counsel, but I don't recall where. Miss Olive Green, the woman from 6 days ago. The victim in the recent case of stabbing on Briar Road. An incident for which Mr. Natsume was arrested, I hasten to add. Oh, of course, yes, Miss Green. She was left comatose for some 3 days, I believe, but I hear she regained consciousness 2 days ago. And I hardly need to remind the court that Mr. Shansphere's poisoning took place 3 days ago. Given that the woman was lying comatose in a hospital bed at the time, she appears to have a rather fine alibi. True, on the night the incident occurred, Miss Green was in the hospital unconscious. So on the face of it, it would seem that she couldn't possibly be responsible, but still. My colleagues and I visited Miss Green in hospital yesterday, and we found her to be in possession of a bottle of poison. Good gracious! She had poison? And there is another fact that links Miss Green to this case as well. The defense requests that she be brought to the witness stand in order to explain the details to the court. Tell me, Mr. Shansphere. My lord, pray, what be thy bidding? Are you acquainted with Miss Green? Eh? No, never heard of her. Judging by the look on Mr. Shansphere's face, I think perhaps he genuinely doesn't know her, at least not by name. As the voice of Her Majesty's prosecution here, I adhere to my word. We will see my Lord Nipponi's Friends farce through to its conclusion. I appreciate that. The prosecution requests a short recess, my lord, in order to subpoena the witness and bring her here. Yes, Miss Olive Green. Indeed, my lord. 1 hour should be sufficient. Very well, I grant the request. Excellent, I hope. The defense has made a most extraordinary accusation, I must say. But at the present time, I feel the prosecution's argument remains largely uncontested. Accordingly, I'm afraid the defendant and his culpability remain the sole subject of this court's attention. Thank you, counsels. We reconvene in 1 hour. Court is adjourned.